I am Taylor, and you are listening to the Surviving Maine Behind the Scenes podcast, the final podcast of the season, not counting the jury deep dive interviews that come out later today. But I am here with the fantastic production manager of Surviving Maine Season 4, George. How are you, George?
Doing okay. We are at the final podcast. I can't believe we're here.
You're done after this. It's been many years, and
it's been several years. Several prescriptions of Xanax later.
Yes.
Good.
And we're still alive. With us, it's so exciting. The final four are all with us. We have the fourth place finisher who brought the mess and the juggling. Nick. Nick, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Good. Looking good with that long hair. We have the fire starter himself, the human teddy bear, the lovable Seth. How are you, Seth?
I'm doing well. Everything's going well over here in Maine. Yeah.
Awesome. And then our runner-up, who was called a sweetheart more than anyone else in the history of Survivor across all survivors. It's Amelia. How are you, Amelia?
I'm here.
You're here. And our wonderful winner, Hallie. How are you?
I'm good. Good to see you all.
All right. So let's get started. I want to know what people thought about this final episode, but also about the season in general and how it was watching yourselves and finding out things you didn't know through other people's confessionals and stuff like that. Can we talk about that first? Nick, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I just finished the show last night. So the finale. So it's still kind of fresh. I would be lying if I didn't say that watching this was a little rough in parts for me personally. I feel like it's a good thing though, because I kind of learned quite a bit about my social game and just seeing it back in real time. I mean, things I can't even believe I said, not necessarily lies, but just things I'm like, why on earth did I say that to the camera? Like when I said, they're just telling me what to do on this vote and I'm just going to do that. Not good to tell the viewers that. Doesn't make you look like a great player. So I'm like, I was just told to vote for Lauren, so that's my plan. Okay, maybe think of something a little better. No, it was a little difficult to watch my episodes, only because I also realized I knew I was kind of on the outside. I didn't have any really, really close allies, but to the degree that was true was really brought to my attention watching these episodes. I thought I had at least a sliver of some hoping, to work with some people, but no one was working with me, and nobody really had any intention to work with me except Lauren, which we can get into later. But
yeah,
that was the one insight I was like, for example, the Zach and the Dave vote, I thought those were at the time just pretty clear cut, we're just getting them back for when they, turned on us. But I was the target both of those times. Yeah, I did not know that. I really did not know that. They were really good at keeping me in the dark on that. Sure, I thought I might be in the running, but I was almost going home both times. That was new to me.
What about you, Amelia?
What was the question again?
I don't know.
How did you feel watching yourself back in these episodes?
I don't like watching videos of myself, but I will say that it was easier to watch myself than I expected. The thing I found most interesting watching the episodes was more just hearing other people's confessionals about me though, and what they were thinking throughout the game. I feel like, I don't know though. I feel like it's hard to unpack. I wish I had been able to do what Nick did, actually. I wish I had a chance to watch them all right in a row instead of watching them weekly, because I feel like my brain has moved on from episodes that were weeks ago.
Mm.
Yeah, going over the videos and watching myself, it was kind of cool in some ways, and other ways not so much. Like more towards the end, kind of sucked. All the emotional parts for me, like it's hard to watch. Yeah, but in the beginning, doing the competitions and stuff like that, I felt like it was kind of enjoyable. Yeah, I had a good time.
It had to be a lot of fun watching, yourself redeem yourself with the fire challenge and
Yeah,
get
that
back.
was super. Yeah,
That was fun.
yeah.
Fun to watch.
I got a video of my daughter just going crazy about
So
it.
fun.
Did your daughter watch all the episodes with you?
My oldest did. She lives down in Farmington, and she's watched every episode with me, and it's been great. Everybody else has got hectic schedules, but they're figuring it out.
Don't be ashamed of having emotions. You played a great game. You were you know you went out there for the experience and you got a lot more than you bargained for, and you made some really good TV in the process.
Yeah, thanks to Taylor on the good TV part.
Yeah.
She did well.
No,
But yeah, I
Seth,
thought my game was okay. Strategically, obviously, it wasn't the most empowering, but it was decent.
I mean, I agree with that to an extent in the beginning while you were getting, your footing, but towards the end, you really wanted that. You wanted to
Yeah,
win.
it
You were
was
starting to make moves.
Yeah, I was trying to participate a little more in it, but it was difficult. Just what everybody was thinking, who they're voting for, and what tribe. Just trying to make sure all the ducks were in a row before I said the wrong thing to the wrong person. That was a difficult part for me.
I have a question for you, Seth. When the game was all said and done, you went into this game with Aaron as a friend of yours, and he played and he was out early. What was the conversation you had with Aaron after the game, being that he sort of, I don't know if you want to say, I don't think he knowingly threw you under the bus.
He
But
put quite the target on my back, didn't he?
he did a bit. So was there a conversation that you had about that with him afterward?
Honestly, I tried having a conversation, but he was over Surviving Maine, I think, the second he got there. So it was hard to have a conversation with him. He pretty much wants nothing to do with it, to be honest.
I got that impression.
And I think it was like the same mentally for him. It kind of screwed with his brain pretty quick, as well as mine. Definitely wasn't something I was anticipating that bad.
Is it because of his low placement that he doesn't want to be associated with the show, or was he upset? I mean,
I think I don't know. It's hard to get that answer
him, I guess.
What's that?
We'd have to ask him, I guess. You can't really speak for him on that unless you knew.
I think the low placement was his own doing.
Well, yeah, but I mean, getting voted out first, it's got to hurt. You got to feel bad about yourself a little bit, or embarrassed. And I'm sorry, Callie looks sad, like it was her fault. It's not your fault. You did the right thing. But I understand why someone who was voted out first would not want to think about this game.
Mm-hmm.
I understand it. It makes sense to me. And Seth, I wanted to tell you, my sister watches, and she texts me her thoughts after she watches each episode, and she, the whole season, Callie was her favorite. And then around episode 12, when you start showing emotion, she's like, I don't know what happened to me. I was not expecting this, but Seth is my favorite now.
Oh, yeah.
Loved you. And I think that's a common thing. A lot of people really just find you to be a lovable, sweet guy. And when a man cries, that's how I know that I could get along with him in real life.
Yeah, it's true. I've always been kind of emotional, especially like I said before, if I get into something, a little more in depth, like George was asking about my family, and I'm like, dude, here they come, here come the tears. Yeah, it's tough. It's hard to talk about it and not get worked up sometimes.
Seth came on my radar in a very pivotal moment in the game when Amelia had her, medical issue and was like that whole thing. And I remember Seth came over and he said, I'm a paramedic. I know. And I, being the senior person there, I really didn't know what to do to try to keep everybody calm. But I knew when Seth stepped forward and stepped out of the game and said, I'm here if you need me, I was like, all right, I like this guy. This guy knows what he's
Sadly, for
doing.
the record, I'm not a paramedic. I wish, but I do work very well with the ambulance. I used to be a first responder. I'm working
That's
on
all I
getting
needed
my
to hear.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I do the ambulance daily, so I mean, I know kind of what I'm doing for the most part.
I knew that I wasn't alone in that moment
Sure.
trying to help Amelia through that, and I knew that you were a good guy from that. Callie, we spoke briefly when you guys popped in. When I forgot who we were. I think we were interviewing
Topher.
TJ.
Yeah, I was over at the
Oh, right,
house.
Topher.
Topher, Adam, Kiefer.
And I asked how you felt watching yourself back on these episodes, and you were not enthusiastic about watching yourself. Is that a fair assessment?
No, I mean the boys can attest. Like I was having a lot of trouble seeing myself on screen or hearing myself. I feel like it's when you have like a recording of your own voice and then you try and listen to it and you're just like cringing the whole time. I don't know what that is, but yeah, anytime I would come on, I'd be like covering my ears. So I have to confess, I was watching for like the first half, and then I sort of stopped being able to watch the episodes because I
Oh,
just
shit.
don't like to see, which I hate to admit because I appreciate all the work that went into it and the editing, but it just was making like me cringe too much. I don't know what it is. I hate to
So you
watch
haven't even
it
seen
myself.
your win or like
No,
your
I
idol play
can't.
on Seth?
I can't watch it.
Oh, you gotta watch it.
Will you watch it
Yeah,
if I
I
cut you
should.
out of it and
People
send
will
you
like
the
text
episode?
me. People will text me the updates, but I'm like, oh, I don't want to. If there's a tool I could use that would just mute me for the
Yeah.
entire time I'm on screen, then I would. I guess I could just watch it myself. But I was watching it at the boys' house, and so
I had to take some time off from watching the show every week too. Just caught up on like 5 episodes a couple nights ago.
And it's interesting because you all came across as, I'm not going to comment on gameplay, but as human beings, you all came across as very caring and loving. From my perspective, you all were very hyper aware that a game was going on, but at the same time, you did not lose the human aspect of yourselves, and you genuinely, and that really came across in this last episode when the jury was talking about everybody, about the finalists, and it just came across that there was a very quick love developed among everybody over the course of a few days, and I think that resonates a lot more than whatever, stumbling over gameplay and things like that. That for me anyway, that's what came across, is that you were a bunch of really decent people playing this game and giving it your all. But yeah, I would, my 2 cents of advice would be not to be so hard on yourselves. You created an incredible season of Survivor. So yeah, maybe after some more distance from it, you can go back and watch it, and see, how good you all really were, out there. So that's what came across for me. Seth, you were very good at puzzles. Is that something that you were aware of about yourself, or did you figure that out when you were out there?
No, I've always been decent with puzzles, for the most part. I've enjoyed doing many of them. Yeah. Some of them. Yeah. No, I'm fairly decent with them.
No, you were good. I have a little note here, and we're jumping ahead a little bit, but at that picnic with the final three, I just remember you staring at the food like it was a mirage, like it wasn't real. You were just like, and then naming all of the different things: corn on the cob. There's this, there's that. I loved that moment, and I'm trying to remember if that was a premeditated moment. I think it might have been Will, and if I'm wrong, I'm
I know
sorry to
the
whoever came up with it. But oh, Charlie wanted to say hello. That to be like, let's film this. Let's film them having this picnic. I don't remember if that was part of it. Like that. That
I
was.
know the
I don't
champagne
remember.
was because like I was getting ready to do it, and they're like, "Hold on, stop, let's get this on film." And I shook it up and sprayed it.
That's right. Yeah. So like, I think that's some really great footage. That picnic, right, Charlie? Tell me. Uh, yeah. So what was I going to say? So Nick pleading with Callie during the challenge was a great moment. Like, don't make me do fire, don't make me do fire. Callie, did you know at that point that if you had won that Nick you were gonna put Nick on fire for that?
No, I didn't know. I definitely was um gonna weigh the options there, but I do remember feeling like just I don't know, and like in hindsight, people have been like I haven't seen like what was actually going on, so I can only really react to like my own memory of the game. So if there's any additional details that have arisen, then correct me if I'm wrong. But I just remember feeling like a sense of loyalty to Amelia as like kind of day one allies since the first vote. We were kind of in cahoots together. And I remember just wanting to see that through to the end. But obviously, I was also thinking of strategy. I sort of thought it was a coin flip in terms of like who could take it to the end. I remember thinking like Nick would be really good at, you know, making a case for himself because he's just so well spoken. So that scared me a little bit, but um,
Well, you picked Amelia to go with you to the final. Did you, at that point in time, did you think that you'd be able to beat her, or was it a loyalty thing? What was your rationale? You did mention it was your gut, but what was your rationale about taking Amelia to the end, picking her and making the other two make fire?
I think it was a combination of that. I mean, I really like didn't. I was feeling good about my chances at that point against either Nick or Amelia. So I wasn't like too hung up on who it would be. And then Seth and I had had a conversation where we definitely knew that like he wanted to make the fire and it would be a good moment. So that was like a certain. But yeah, I don't recall too much about how I was feeling in the moment.
All that
Just gonna
sounds
ask,
consistent with what the confessionals were in
yeah,
that.
a quote that Amelia said I love. And something that she said. She said that the experience humbled her and gave her confidence at the same time. I think that's poetic. I think that's beautiful, and it really encapsulates your experience out there.
Mm.
So I just wanted to mention that because that struck me when I was watching the episode. That was a very nice way to express how that was going. I'm gonna put my cat on the floor. He's annoying me. You know what? I didn't feed him. 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock is this. But yeah, anyway. Um, so, but on the other hand, you had Callie's funniest moment when she said, "Nothing tastes better than not being sued," which I thought was fantastic. That was a great little, it was a great little quote.
Kelly does
When she
not
was
remember
talking
this.
about she she talked
You got
about the
away.
generic soda or whatever was out there. That was pretty funny.
Callie, after winning the final immunity, Callie becomes a whole other person, I feel like, and
She
suddenly a
relaxed.
personality comes out, and I'm like, oh, this person's funny. Like, where has this person been the whole time? And I think it was like finally a relief, and like the pressure had lowered. It's like final three, fire's over, and Callie's herself now.
Can I
Remember
man.
that?
can I ask something about the Callier decision?
Yeah.
So when I watched it back last night, I was kind of struck. So you just answered saying like you really weren't sure, at least on the edit, at least like on the actual show. It seemed, and this was news to me. I really thought you might be really giving it some serious, 50-50 chance between me and him. But you said like, I'm so glad this is the final three. This is the final three I wanted. Like, you just made it. You were talking to Seth and you were like, this is great. Like, we could put Nick on fire. He'll go out. Like, what the show showed was you pretty much solidifying your decision to put me on fire. Like, watching it back, it didn't really seem like it was, this might go Seth or Nick. It seemed pretty definitive. And that was, again, watching that, I was like, wow, she really had no intention of taking me at all. So at least when I was begging you when we were making the ladder, I thought I might have I knew my chances were slim, but I was like trying to show you that like, hey, I'm a player just like you. Like, we played a lot of the same game, not quite, you know what I mean though, but yeah. And then it was that one quote, you were all sitting on the picnic table and you said like, I'm so happy it's us. And I was just like, wow, like really, I just had no shot whatsoever.
Nick, they had a final three for a really long time though.
I didn't know.
Amelia and Callie.
They kept telling Amelia.
I believe, like, I mean, the recordings are there, so I can't like refute that, obviously. But like in thinking about my emotions, I was definitely reacting from like a place of like feeling like it had been Amelia and I from the beginning, and like even though things had been perfect and like obviously we did not vote in the same way every time. Like I just that's how I felt. I think like it wasn't anything that strategic, but I guess that's how I was reacting because yeah, it was pretty much from a gut feeling. I wish I had like a better strategic reason to point to for like rationale, but
you remember thinking about taking Amelia to the final two, or sorry, taking Seth to the final two and putting me and Amelia on fire? Like, I personally think Amelia's game was better than mine overall, but that might have been a little bit more of an equal playing field in terms of like who would the third be, because I think Seth, my feeling that I feel like my game was better than yours. I feel like you're a little bit of a goat, but like had you taken Seth and maybe had me and Amelia do fire, that would have been like, maybe not a fairer battle, but just something that, might have, hey, you really earned this third seat. But that's just stuff I've been thinking about all day. But, like if me and Amelia went to fire and say she won, that would be huge. She might have even beat you. I don't know.
I want to kind of add a little something here. Something that I personally think influenced that a lot was probably Seth, because I remember that you and Callie talked first when she had her individuals with us, and Seth and I had talked, and he was very straightforward about he wanted it to be me, him, and Callie. So he had asked me how comfortable I was in fire, and I was like, kind of like, I don't know, I might be able to beat Nick. But he very much was like, I want to do fire, so you should tell Callie you're not comfortable with fire. So I think that might have been something that really influences, like, Seth really wanted to redeem himself in fire, and like, I think that that's something that probably influenced it a lot personally. Yeah. I don't know, Callie can correct me there, but
yeah, I think that was like
fair, of course,
a certain in my mind, if that's like, since it was what Seth was wanting to do, like I was going to give him that opportunity because he had been like, voting with me, and I felt like it was the right thing to do. But yeah, that's true.
How long did it take you folks to decompress after the game? Start with Nick.
I mean, I remember that night I drove to like western or middle of New York. And I was talking to Allison on the phone a lot, and I remember getting to my hotel. and I cried. I cried a lot, actually, just because of all the emotional things that you really hadn't processed fully yet, all just came flying out at you at once. And talking to Allison, getting a lot of her perspective. Yeah, it was just a lot of information and feelings all at once, and it just kind of exploded out of me. I just remember falling on my hotel bed with both arms out and just being like, "What the hell is that? What just happened?" So it was exhausting, but it took, I had the whole drive home to think about it, long 12 hours, and I thought about it every second of that time.
How about you, Callie? You had some friends there, so you might have been able to decompress the game with people who were in it, and you had some time to, you know, bounce things off each other. Nick basically had his car and he drove home, and probably some sad music that helped his emotions along. No, but Callie, you got to decompress this game with some friends. Was it like back to business as usual, or did it take a little time for you to be like, same thing? What was all that? What
Yeah,
just happened?
it was, I mean, yeah, it was a lot to process. I honestly felt like much more, I think I felt more complicated about it than like I, I was obviously excited and like thought it was fun that I had won, but it didn't feel as good as I thought it would. I was like that maybe because like I guess yeah, there were such emotional reactions in the moments afterwards, and obviously like the reveal that there we more I felt more mean than I thought I would. Oh, am I losing
Yeah,
connection?
You're lagging a little
you're
bit.
lag
Oh,
a little bit here.
um yeah, it felt worse than I thought it would. I definitely came out being like, I don't think I can do something like that again. And now, of course, as more time passes, I'm like, well, maybe, but um,
So brings me to my like next question that I've asked most other people that we've interviewed: the expectation versus reality. You sign up for this, you get accepted into it, you're cast. The hype builds for a couple of weeks or however long it takes before you're cast and before the game starts. What was your expectation versus reality? What did you expect going in, and how is that different from your expectations? And anybody could take this, or all, or none, or one, whatever. Let's start with Amelia.
Um, I don't know
Was
what
it
I expected.
This was your first game, all of you?
This was, yeah, I think all of us. Yeah. Um, I don't know what I went in expecting with the game. Um, Honestly, like the day that we got there, I remember in the car just saying to Will, I don't know why I did this. Like on our way there, I kept being like, this is going to be so stupid. I have no reason to be here. I'm going to do terrible. No one's going to like me. I was just like completely down on myself about it. Um, and I think the reality was, I mean, it was a very emotional time. At times, I felt like everyone hated me, but ultimately, like it was so wonderful to like make so many friends while there, despite playing all of us playing so strategically. So I guess I just wasn't expecting to get such a community out of playing. I don't know.
That is one of the perks of this of LRGs is each game that you play, you go through this trauma bonding together, and yeah, you have this in common for the rest of your lives, and you'll always remember what it felt like to go through the experience, even if it's a 1 day game. These people, I have casts from my game that we have cast chats from 4 years ago that are still active, so these people really do become part of your lives whether you like it or not. Would you guys play, would you folks play again? I mean, Callie hinted at the possibility. Amelia, you'd play again. I know you'd play again.
I've
You
played.
have played again.
I played 2 games then.
Are you allowed to talk about how you did on those?
Yeah, both of those have already like been announced. I didn't do well in either technically. One of them my tribe ended up like swapping and we lost a bunch, and eventually we just ended up as 3 and we had to vote someone out. And I
It's
was
Outlast.
at 3, yeah. And then
That's
the
a good
other one,
series.
I played the entirety of my game with all men. And we actually won for a good long stretch, but when we finally lost, they decided that I was just the easy vote. They didn't want to make waves yet.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Is that survival challenge?
Yes.
Jesus.
I think is that wait, that's Brandon's?
Um,
No, that's
the big
Kenny's
one.
spot. I get them confused. So Seth, what about you? Would you play one of these again?
Yeah, maybe. I kind of seem more interested in doing like the production and stuff like that, to be honest. But or you know, camera work and all that. I think that would be cool. Maybe.
We would be happy to have you on either side of the camera. And I hope we do.
Seth for All Stars.
He's on the list.
See, that has potential.
Because I just think that going through the experience and not really knowing what to expect because you didn't really know Survivor that well, I feel like you'd play a completely different game. Am I wrong in that assumption?
I know. I think you're right. I definitely learned a lot for sure, especially rewatching it and learning from some of the other better strategic players. But yeah, I could do. I think I would do it again.
What about you, Nick?
I played a Big Brother and the Mole. I did okay on both. I'm the Mole. It's like it's kind of you only have to rely on yourself. So I got pretty far, and in the Big Brother, I made jury. I didn't know anything about that. I've still never seen an episode of the actual show.
You don't need to. It's awful.
That was tough. That was hard in many different ways. But I would love. Look, I tried out for like 7 or 8 other Survivors last year. I didn't get any of them. I would happily play any of them. I want to do this as much as I can, but I don't know. I don't personally think I'm going to be getting too many like calls from, the All-Star cast. I would love to, but I don't think I was necessarily a fan favorite or anything like that. Or
You're on my list.
just, I mean, I would love that. I thought my edit made me look, and this is not Taylor anything about you, but I thought I looked a bit like kind of a bumbling like. Oh God, what am I even doing here? Like, did I just plop out into this field and everyone's like, who's this guy? Get him out of here. Like, I just feel like I didn't have any agency or allies or strategy that was shown. But when I was playing, I felt different.
I disagree. I think that, I mean, who knows? My perception is weird, I guess. But I thought in episode 11, you got out Dave. That was you.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I think that was shown very clearly that you were the one driving that and trying to make the Moosehead final 3 that neither of them were interested because they didn't want to work with Lauren. And
I feel like I was by definition a survivor because I survived so many tribal councils I should not have, and it was
you and Amelia both, yeah.
And it was never really due to like a successful idol play or anything like that. It was always some bizarre sort of, thing that went my way with me or without me knowing it that was going to help me. So, no, I would love to play this again. I would do a lot of things differently. We can get into that later, but no, call me up for All Stars because I'm in.
I mean, my perception of you was that you were fairly consistent throughout the game. You were likable. You were always game. You were always willing, but no one seemed to want to let you into the little circles that they were in. But then you came alive on episode 11. That's where you became. Oh,
Nick screwed himself over by not telling anyone about Aaron showing him the idol because he had a really good thing going with Callie and Topher. I was just watching this footage right before we started this because I wanted to make sure I had this right. But Topher and Callie are talking about, Aaron just gave me this idol. Here's what I want to do. And Topher's like, okay, we should all vote for Aaron. You have his idol. but tell Amelia to play hers so we flush her idol. And Callie's like, I don't think that makes sense. I think we should all vote for Amelia. So then like no one's mad at me. And Nick is still on our side because I don't trust Nick. So because you didn't tell them about Aaron showing you that idol on your walk back from the Survivor store that first night, that's where they started to get iffy about you.
I don't know. I still don't like. I don't love that it took a while for him to tell us.
Yeah.
That he had it, because I think we all kind of knew he was lying. He was.
What's interesting is that so I had to walk with Nick.
Okay.
And then
I think
Nick didn't tell me that, and then I got back, and then
I think Nick was with Aaron.
Yeah, and then Aaron was like, pulled it out, and Nick had already known about it. It's like Nick is keeping things.
Yeah, I don't love that.
I don't love it either.
I also actually, fuck, it would be such. I feel like such a fucking asshole, but I feel like I don't.
To get him there.
No, to get Aaron after giving me this idol, but like, just thinking with this mentality, like, he's gonna want to keep keeping the tribe strong, and I feel like he'll be like, go for a guys alliance, and I'd be next.
What if we did? This might be nefarious, but
okay.
What if we did like you, Amelia, and me vote Aaron, but we tell you specifically tell Amelia right before tribal, like, I don't think Chris is with us. I think he's with the guys. So then she gets spooked and plays her idol. So then she flushes her idol. She's safe. Aaron goes home. You have Aaron's idol. Amelia's idol is flush.
Okay.
Because
yeah.
Does that sound like?
Yeah.
Because I think like Amelia's more loyal to us.
I think so.
And
I think she would be totally loyal, and I don't really trust Nick and Aaron to be.
Yeah. And I think that would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Because then this idol becomes like our secret.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Aaron will tell Nick.
Do I need to tell? Do you think I should tell? Trying to think of the best way to tell Amelia about the idol. Like, what's the best way to spook her?
I think like maybe like I think about to leave for tribal being. Actually, I have a bad feeling. I don't think Chris is with us. So I think he's with the guys. I think that's enough to spook her.
Yeah, but then I'm trying to think of long term. Like, is it better to bring her fully into this plan?
My only thing is
or is she just going to be like, I don't trust?
I would like her to not have her idol is the only thing. Because we're going to go into a tribal of 4, and like I don't want not one of us having an idol. Like you already have an idol, but like it just leaves me a little bit exposed. Like,
yeah.
Because if we tell her about this plan, then she's not going to play her idol because she knows we're both with her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or do you not want her to flush her idol?
No, I think she should. I agree. The only variable is like, I don't think Aaron's going to ask for it back.
Yeah. So you'd rather just keep Aaron in, maybe? I
also don't want, like, do we still all vote Amelia? Because if there's a vote that's popping up that's for Aaron, that's 2 votes for Aaron, like, would he put together that I had voted with her?
So, like, the 4 of us all vote for Amelia. Amelia plays her idol. She's safe.
She votes for Aaron.
Then that way, like, Nick's not mad at us.
Yeah.
Well, who do you think is more important to not piss off, Amelia or Nick? Because either we all put our votes on.
Well, now I don't fucking trust Nick.
Yeah, so I feel less bad about pissing off Nick?
Yeah.
Because he's a little scared.
Oh, are you hungry?
Oh, it must be so sad. Oh. You don't get to eat. Oh. Also, I don't think anybody knows we know each other.
Yeah, no, I think we're pulling it off.
Yeah, which is very nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel we should just make this decision real fast.
Yeah. I feel like I'm gonna have to talk with Amelia again.
And it can be like minutes or seconds before we leave.
Yeah.
Because I think like she's already on edge and she doesn't want to play it, but I think anything.
She was saying like she was like, I'm definitely not gonna play it.
Yeah. So
I'll just be like, Topher's not.
Just be like, Topher, I don't think he wants us. He like was saying he wants to vote with the guys to keep the tribe strong.
Yeah. And then
I will vote.
And then maybe like I think I will maybe vote for Amelia as well, but explain it after and be like, I knew they were going to vote for you, and I wanted to, like, not
So you
seem
think
like
so we should all vote for Amelia then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
I wanted to seem strong with them and not,
Yeah.
like, I knew you could get him. Like, I knew I had. Did we tell her about the idol? No.
I don't think
Stop talking.
What? She's so calm.
Yeah, okay. So you tell her I don't agree with the numbers. I think really needed that firewood.
Yeah. Oh, that was the same Jason.
Howdy. Okay. So we all voted. So you tell Amelia the guys are gonna vote for you. I think you should play your idol. So I don't think we have the numbers, but we should you should vote Aaron, and then she does it. Aaron does his idol. Her one vote sends Aaron home.
Yeah.
And then we have an idol no one else knows. Or you have an idol, but I
Yeah.
know.
Okay.
I love it. Talia,
Okay.
she feels so mischievous.
This is crazy.
And then wait, because this is a question I have for you, Nick. In episode 9, no, I'm sorry, 10, this was a cut scene, but you are talking to Callie, and you say, Topher told me that you tipped off Amelia to play her idol.
Amelia's a wild card at the moment.
Yeah.
Are you,
I do think Amelia would be that.
are you fully opposed to voting out of Amelia, or are you open?
I don't feel like that's in my best interest. I mean, you said you know about.
Yeah, I don't think
She's
she's.
probably I know about stuff. Or hoping.
I mean, Topher just told me.
He just told you.
Yeah, I don't think that she's going to come back fully fast. Yeah? I mean, tell me the truth. Do you really think she will?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Did you say that on purpose, or did you screw up the names?
No, I said that on purpose because I remember Callie. I specifically remember her looking kind of annoyed. Like she looked off to the side and was like, psst. And I remember thinking like, okay, so I wasn't supposed to know about that at all. Like, is that what you're referring to?
But Topher didn't tell you. Zach told you. That's the thing.
No.
You told Topher.
I told.
Well,
Okay.
I was wondering was that a purposeful lie that you were trying to protect Zach, or did you mess up? Because then Callie really was like, "Oh, Nick just lied to my face."
Yeah, I don't see I would have done that because
Yeah,
that might have been a mistake. Yeah,
My recollection of being mad at Nick was because Topher told me that Nick was trying to leave me out of a vote
Yes.
okay.
for Amelia. Like,
Yes.
you didn't want to tell me that the vote was for Amelia and had just done a convincing job of lying to me about it.
Okay, maybe that was
That's my recollection of the scenario, and I think that's where I was starting to sour on our dynamic because
Okay.
I think I realized you were a better liar than I had put together, and we're making plans without involving me.
Gotcha. I don't remember that scenario specifically, but I do remember it was probably right around that time where I realized I had to hop off the Topher Cali train because I was I didn't have a real ticket.
But you didn't vote for Topher. You voted for Dave, and that was that was when you had the conversation with Topher about because it was going to be Amelia at first, and you were like, well, Zach just told me she tipped off Amelia about the idol, so we can't tell Callie about voting for Amelia. And Topher's like, I think we need to, and you were like, no way.
I don't remember this at all. Okay, that's.
It was in the episode. Part of it was in the episode,
Really?
not the
Okay.
whole conversation.
Are you get?
I haven't talked with him.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you do that.
Getting confused. Okay, right now, over there, but Molly told Emily to play that idol. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So, right now, all the words that we've been talking about are for today, which sucks.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that, but that's just kind of where it's headed. I don't think Callie will be on board for that. Because she already just played that, she already told her to play that idol.
Yeah. I do think, speaking as someone who is vulnerable, I think self-preservation may take over and she might be down.
No, we shouldn't tell her. We should leave her out of
Oh, okay.
Because
Do we need her number?
Yeah. No, that's I knew my time with Callie was on borrowed time, but I had no one. I really had no one else, so I had to stick with her. I had to stick with her as
Yeah.
long as she would have me, which wasn't very long.
So before we started this podcast, Taylor posted the cast photo in the Facebook group, and she asked if anybody had questions, and a couple of people did. Um, so Brandon he said, no, not really burning questions, but he wants to know what the biggest takeaways from the game and what are you most proud of looking back on it, besides winning Cali. Nick, since you're the only one that's not muted, go for it.
My biggest takeaway was probably maybe looking back on the edit. I need to chill out on the way I interact with someone else, especially one-on-one. At least, again, this is my perception of watching me, but I'm constantly moving. I always appear anxious, and I'm looking, and here's what I do. I talk like this, and then, but what if, okay, but hang on. What if and I'm like, stop doing that. You are stressing people out. Like, you can talk strategy, but you can be cool, calm, and collected. Like, that's going to build a lot more trust in the long run, and versus being like, oh, what are you going to do? Should we go? Okay, hang on. I was like, Nick, you got to tone it back. My takeaway would be, in the next time I do this, I'm going to take a breath before strategy talk and approach it in a much more, I guess, toned down stance and really try to articulate what I'm saying versus just basically sputtering until I have no more breath.
That's a good takeaway.
That's a good takeaway.
That's something Amelia was really good at. Amelia, you're such a good liar. I was impressed every time. I was like, look at her lie. You and Lauren were the best liars.
So composed in their lying. It was just, how can you not believe that face? I believe, like, you could be lying straight to my face and I'd be like, but she's so cute. No, you were watching you rebound from the medical emergency and just your thought process going through the game and how you articulated yourself in confessionals and when you were chatting with other people was a big surprise for me because I didn't see your game. I didn't see you playing throughout the day. Just watching these back and seeing you, how perfectly honest, when you made it to the finals, I was shocked. I was like, what did she do? I just didn't see it because I was the only thing I could go by was voting. And when you came up to vote, you didn't really reveal too much of what was going on because I was the one filming the votes. But yeah, there was a clear understanding of this game and how to manipulate people that came across in the edit in the context of the game. All of you were really, really good. And I was surprised at the Final Four because, again, I had very limited information. And then I couldn't wait to watch these episodes to see what you guys did in order to get to this point. And you all earned it, all of you. Let's see. We have a question from Andy. How much of what you saw happened as you remembered it versus how much had faded into the fog of your memories? Very poetic the way he wrote that. But
that's Andy.
That's Andy with his rice patty hat, which I love. He should frame that thing. What did you guys feel about that? How would you answer that?
Before anyone answers, I just want to say when I interviewed Seth, it was 1 week after the game. And Seth remembered nothing. He knew less than I did. He was like, I was never on a tribe with Shaylee. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, nothing. It was hilarious. And it really screwed me up. I had to go back.
It was all fog. It was all fog for me. It was, throughout the whole game, I felt foggy minded. It was bizarre.
Who did you trust the most out there? Was it Lauren, Seth?
Madison first, maybe.
Madison for sure. Lauren, I was always a little skeptical of, but I felt she wasn't lying to me for the most part, and from what I can tell, she really didn't. I just didn't want to be the main focus. That was my goal. Is so if she's the one that likes to talk strategy and do all the legwork, then have at it. Callie too. Like she's great with the strategic part of it. So you got my vote. I'll just ride behind. I don't know. It worked for me, I guess.
Can I say another takeaway? Because watching back, it's like I wish that maybe even a few more hours of game, even a couple more rounds, because there was one point when Amelia and Allison were really, really trying to get me to work with them.
That's my question. Yeah, I have a question for you. Yeah, go ahead.
That's a pivotal moment for my game where it's like I have this 50-50 coin. I want to use it because I want to do something flashy, to get people's attention. But in the same time, that was the last tribal council I could use it. Allison and Amelia are over here like, the vote is truly not on you. Absolutely not. Come join us. And I'm like, okay, I could either vote or I could either flip this coin and have a chance or work with them, really just believing that they had my best interests at heart and then probably get voted out because I really didn't believe them. I thought they were just trying to bait me to not use the chip. So looking back, I kind of wish I would have just been like, you know what? I need to make a move. Screw this chip. Allison, Amelia, and I, let's vote Callie out and blow this game up. That's something I like looking back during the game. I was too paranoid of going home. I didn't want to even take the chance at being voted out. And I think I would do something a little bit different in my next game, like take a bigger risk.
Was that vote for me if you had done that?
Or Amelia, were we talking about?
It was either Seth or Callie that they were pushing.
Yeah, we essentially told you we would do either, depending on what you wanted.
I don't think you would have said Callie.
I don't think
I remember that vote, and I remember Amelia being like, "It's not you." But I knew she wasn't voting with me.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the history with Allison and Amelia. Good. I knew I was trying to work the whole game back to get back into her good graces, and then she was welcoming me, and I was like,
"Yeah." I mean, as soon as Lauren was gone, I was pretty open to working with you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. One more round, 2 more rounds, I would have, had we all been there and survived, I'd be like, all right, just a little more time. I needed just to establish trust with Allison just a little more, but that's something to take away next time. Instead of second guessing or thinking, oh, next time I'll do it that time.
That's good advice.
It's just I'm watching myself.
And you don't have time to think about what's a better move. Like it seems like, flipping the coin was a big flashy move, but voting out Seth or Callie would have really changed your game in a way bigger fashion. So, right. But you don't have enough time to think about that. And
especially considering I didn't even get any votes. They were not lying to me.
No, they wanted to vote out Seth.
To work with me. But next time I'd say I would take them up on that, even fully aware that Allison and I had just been against each other for the last 5 votes. So, but that's why these short games are fun. They keep you on your toes.
Workable bonds.
Mm-hmm.
Jazzy asked how everyone feels about the sneaky 4, as she called you, knowing each other and how it all played out. When you found out about that, when did you find out that there were a bunch of people that knew each other? Was it like shortly after the game? How did you find out, and what was your reaction to that? Amelia.
Yeah, for me, during the game, I feel like I had a good sense of who Callie really liked within the game. So, for example, being with Adam, I could tell they were for some reason weirdly aligned, and I could not figure it out. I was like, why are these 2 people kind of wanting to work together? Because Callie would say things like, oh, I think we have Adam. And I was like, why? And I really questioned that, but at the same time, I was paranoid of everything in this game, so I don't think I like really narrowed down why. I didn't find out obviously till after final tribal that they all knew each other.
You had to see us on production when we found out that you all knew each other. We were like, because there were confessionals. Oh, I kind of like know Callie. When we were in the production, we're like, fucking know each other. How do they know each other? What are they? Like we were like, we didn't know what to do with ourselves in that moment because it really like changed the trajectory of the game for a lot of us that you knew each other and you had Adam who had his hit list of people that, got out Kiefer and we were seeing storylines develop that none of us anticipated because we thought that you were all strangers. Crazy. Callie. Just kidding.
I felt pretty good about my game, learning about that because I was like, wow, that could have been just a wall, that just pushed it. But only one person made it to the final four, and then realizing that, I was like, okay, like I got past a foursome. That I felt, I don't know, it just gave my game a little bit more credibility in my mind. I felt good about that. Lauren told me right away. Lauren told me the second the game was over.
To Callie's credit, though, she played her own game and said to Adam, if I have to vote you out, I'm voting you out. Not in those words, but, it wasn't like we're ride or dies to the end. She knew what was going to be best for her game, right? I don't want to speak for you.
Yeah, no, not taking anything away from Callie's game whatsoever. It was masterclass.
No.
Was Adam a threat to win the game in your eyes at that point, Callie, when you were...
Oh, yeah. I wanted him out. He knew at that point, like, all bets were off. Like, it was a help to, in, like, the messy sort of just merged environment, to have someone with feelers on the other side. But I knew that he could beat me. He's very charismatic, and I wanted to beat him. So I was definitely not gonna, I had no plans to bring him to the final three if that was a scenario. And we knew before that it was all for fun. So no hard feelings.
No hard feelings. You're a smart cookie.
I was very like tainted by the production people telling me about this because they were so mad about it, and some other people on the cast were so mad about it because it was like hidden until after the final vote. That's when it came out that they were like, "Oh yeah, we're roommates, haha," and people were like, "Excuse me." So
in their defense, I'll say in the application, there's an address that they filled out with the same address, and there's a background that they all recorded their videos from. So they did submit.
Why did they hide it
like,
from me?
We're probably not all going to make this, and then they did.
Once they got on the cast, they hid it from me. It makes no sense to me. Why would you continue to hide it? Why wouldn't you admit it in your pre-game interviews when I specifically asked, how did you find out about this game? And you're like, I don't know. Yeah. So, I'm sorry. I'm not trying. What I was trying to say.
I have no excuse, by the way. Like, no, I knew them and I applied independently because it was a last minute ad,
and they told you, but you didn't say like, oh, my friend is playing and he gave me the link. Like, so, but what I was trying to say was that I was tainted by all of this bad vibes from everyone. And then as I watched everything play out, I was like, oh, I really wish I hadn't talked to anyone beforehand because it made me really mad that this like collusion was going on, and I care about the integrity of the game, but watching it all play out, Callie didn't need any of those guys at all to get to this win. Like at all, really. If you take them all out, I think Callie still wins. And so I wish that I hadn't known what I knew, before I started editing. That's what I was trying to say. I wasn't like, trying to put blame on people. And honestly, all four of you are really great people that I have enjoyed talking with. You seem like just awesome people that I would get along with, if I was 20 years younger. And so,
Same
yeah. So I wasn't trying to, come at you or the Alston trio.
No, I know.
Okay.
But yeah,
Was that random that they happened to be on? We had two, but they were all split up onto different tribes. Was that just lucky for us?
we thought that you guys honestly knew. I mean,
Liza
because of
doesn't
that,
tell anyone
because they were split
anything.
up.
We don't know
Okay.
if Liza knows. But I assume so because they were on the 3 separate tribes.
Okay.
Liza's finding out because of this podcast right now. They
Liza's
didn't
like,
know.
wait, what? They know each other?
They were no. Yeah, it was. It definitely threw a wrench in, but it played out the way it was supposed to, and I think it was a very entertaining season. You know, I don't have any complaints. These games are nowadays. There's so many of these games that to run an actual pure game where nobody knows each other is unheard of at this point. So that's one of the hurdles in playing these games is finding out who knows who. And it's not like, does anybody know who? It's who knows who. And that's what happens when the LRG world is saturated with these games. When the original started, there was 2 or 3 games that and then more and more people came on and produced their own game, branched off, did their own thing. And some people have 5 games a year that there's no way that you can have a pure game because they all met in this one series. So. Or they crewed for the series. They were a crew member, and they get to know the cast. So it's one of the things that you sign up for, and you know that there are going to be people that know each other invariably.
And Liza knew that Seth and Aaron knew each other as well.
Yeah, she was part of Aaron's group. She knew that we were together. I was pretty much honest with her because, I posted the Surviving Maine thing in Aaron's group, and then I said we should do this, team up. And then it was a week later, he's like, dude, I did it and I got on. And he's like, I'm not supposed to tell anybody. I'm like, son of a bitch, So it was a week or 2 later, I filled out an application.
And you were an alternate, right? And then you got on as well?
Yes. And I think Dave as well knew somehow. Maybe
Dave does his research. Dave
and I kind of did too. He had joined Aaron's group and I had stalked him and knew he was part of it. So, yeah.
Dave is thorough.
I agree. Me too.
If he's anything, he's thorough.
Seth, I wanted to ask you, I know everyone's curious about this, all the viewers. Have you seen Survivor yet? Have you watched any Survivor episodes?
I did watch Survivor Pennsylvania along with this one, and that was a really good ending. I watched that last night. That was awesome. Nice. So I'm learning. I'm definitely I've watched a few of them so far.
Not the CBS version?
No.
No Australia?
Doesn't it start tonight or something? Or was it
last week?
Someone from Survivor Pennsylvania is on Survivor CBS this season.
Oh, is it Teeny?
Teeny, yeah.
Awesome.
He played the PA version, so.
Or maybe it was Survivor Philly. Whatever one Lauren was talking about.
Oh, okay.
Philly, yeah.
Philly. Yeah.
Philly. Okay, that's the one I watched. I apologize. But there's so many of them. Yeah. I'll definitely have to catch up on some more, though.
I'll send you links so you can watch Australia, okay?
Sounds good.
Yeah, okay.
So, Callie, you're in a graduate program in Brooklyn. One of my neighbors now because I'm over here. Nick, where are you?
I'm still in Pittsburgh, PA, interpreting sign language full time. I'm closing on a condo next week, so that's exciting.
Ooh.
Amelia has some developments in her life as well. You recently got married, right?
I was like, what developments? Yeah.
What a wedding. What a wedding. I've seen the pictures, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, our themed wedding.
That was very cool.
And Seth, what are you up to?
Staying out of trouble, putting out fires, saving people's lives.
No big
enjoying
deal.
the kids.
Usual.
Have you recovered anything with the you do something with
metal detector? Yeah, just
metal detector.
Just the other day, I found a super rare coin. It was a 1787, New Jersey copper or something like that. They only made them for 3 years. So it's a super interesting find. It's pretty bad looking, but you can definitely tell what it is.
Awesome.
Very cool coin.
It's very cool. So, hey.
And I've done a few hunts with Aaron. We still do his YouTube every now and then. And
what have you killed?
I'm not much. I'm not the killer. My daughter is. Yeah, and my son.
Right.
My son got a nice buck last year. Yeah, he's part of the big buck club. His first hunt ever.
Wow.
Deer came out within 10, 20 feet of him, and he didn't even have the gun loaded, and he still got it.
A lot of venison stew, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay. I think, is there anything else that you want to cover, Taylor, that we have not?
No,
I think we've put them through the ringer.
I think so. I think a few of these people and more are going to be on Mouthy Mike and Lumberjack John's little podcast on, you can watch it on Facebook only. It's on the LRG, Live Reality Games Facebook group. And that'll be next week. I don't know.
So listen, thank you all for taking the time to talk to us today. And I hope to see all of you in another LRG at some point. Maybe mine. I don't know. Maybe.
They're going to be on
shall
Surviving Maine
see.
All-Stars. You can't have them.
It's okay. All right. Thank you, Taylor, for having me on these. I've had a really great time, dissecting this game and this experience that I had as a, showrunner or whatever, production manager.
Yeah.
I don't know what my title was. But yeah, it was a trip. It was, hopefully you guys felt loved and appreciated out there and
I really
taken care
appreciate
of.
it.
Yeah, thank you both for your hard work.
Has Liza watched these at all?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know.
Liza's got a lot
Yeah.
going on.
If anyone talks to
Liza-
her,
Liza's been going through moves and what have you. They moved to Florida, so there's a lot of transition there for Liza. So I'm assuming they'll catch up at some point because so much heart and energy was put into producing this game.
oh yeah,
And they should be very proud of what they were able to produce.
absolutely,
for sure.
yeah.
But Taylor, these episodes are a gem, and you guys have this to look back on, for the rest of your lives. This crazy experience that you went through is documented to, you're in a storyline. It's a great thing to be able. The only thing I could look back on is the frames where I'm walking by with my big stupid tube socks. So that is why I'll stay away and just take with me the memories of actually living through it. But thank
Callie,
you so much.
when you're in your 30s, Callie, watch it. You'll feel a lot more confident.
Yeah, I need some distance, but I will eventually.
Cal, your end game is quite amazing. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
It really
Yeah,
is.
like Dave said, fucking brilliant. And he
Yeah, you don't
wasn't
know
wrong.
that he said that. You don't know because you didn't watch.
You'll see. All right. Peace
George,
out,
I'm gonna miss
everyone.
you. I'm gonna miss you, George. I'm gonna miss seeing
Yeah.
you.
Where am I going? I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, I'm gonna zoom you
message you
everything.
away. Please do.
All right,
Love you
bye,
guys.
everybody. Thank you all for being here, and thanks for playing a
Thank
wonderful
you.
game, all of you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.